We're coming out dangerous.
Rockets going off.
Sometimes the brightest stars shine for the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They heard us all across Tallahassee after that one.
We got to bring home the W.
Oh, yeah. We're going to destroy them.
Put them on the Heisman watch.
They're fine, man.
Big Ben Player of the Year.
We're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
I played a little adult league goalie.
I felt like I scored in the World Cup, but I didn't even score.
Controversy? Question mark?
Pure chaos.
To go crazy was insane.
Chris Petley, he was the defensive MVP of the 2019 season.
Oh yeah, no, I'm in my prime right now. Let's go.
All right, well, welcome aboard here. Welcome back. We're joined by a special guest. Of course, is the top dog, the big man, JDC, whatever you want to call him. Most people like calling him Coach Joel DiCastri. So, Coach, welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. How are we doing today?
Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me on. And thank you for calling me a big man. I've never been called that in my existence, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely, Coach. Absolutely. So appreciate you taking the time. I know you got a busy schedule, running around, making things great here for 2024. Let's start off. Let's go to the past a little bit, Coach. I'm a firm believer you can't know where you're going until you know where you've been. Let's recap from your perspective. Give us some thoughts on 2023 season here for TSC.
Overall, such a positive experience. I think not only for me personally, but also for the squad itself and for the club. I look back with only fond memories of our season. One of the things that really struck out for me was, yes, everything that went on the field, was great. But just to see some of the players bonding and the relationships that have been built from that summer experience ultimately is for me what it's all about. So a huge positive. With my coach's hat on, I'm always going to feel like a little bit disappointed by that final game based on the fact that I felt like we had a really good chance to win that game. But huge respects to Southern Stars. They're a great team. They came back and we fell a little bit short. But I feel like we've made some really good strides that are going to prepare us for the next season.
Absolutely. I guess you could say they were a great team, Coach, as the rumor mill has them as not coming back here this year, but conversation for another day, perhaps. So looking forward, Coach, obviously you talked about with your coach's hat, there's always something that you want to kind of pick out and some improvements you want to make. Let's talk about 2024 going forward. What are some things you're either looking to institutionalize, things you do different, or just kind of expectations going forward?
I think we did a really good job of setting ourselves some clear objectives last year. But I feel like those objectives, obviously, they've still got to be talked about for the new season. But I don't want to set us a ceiling. I want us to be prepared to achieve everything and anything we can, right? So I think we're just going to review our objectives, maybe quash them and just say everything's on the table and let's see what we can achieve. So I think the other thing I would say is I'm looking forward to trying to play a little bit more attacking style of football. Maybe just step our line up another few feet in order to pressure the ball a little bit more and get after our opponents and try and play a little bit more in the opponent's half.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. People love when they see goals, Coach. So good news.
Yeah, well, that's no doubt going to lead to more excitement, a little bit more risk, and probably some more grey hairs for me. But hey, I'm all in.
There you go. Part of the game. So obviously, when you think about the squad, the nature of the NPSL is just so volatile as far as not only teams in the league, but players coming in and out. It's a real transitional league, especially we can anticipate. For those of you who caught the last episode, we were talking wild speculations on players coming back. But we had recently for TSC open tryouts. So just tell us a little bit about that, Coach. Unpack that for us and what it could lead to here down the future as we're still, about 4 months out from the quote unquote start of the season, though we know all too well that starts around this time of year.
Yes, brilliant turnout. So I think we had 40 plus players come out on Saturday afternoon. We were super delighted about just the level of play, the intensity of the players, and also the attitude of the players. It turned into quite a physical affair, but everybody handled themselves really well, concentrated on the job, and really showed to me that a lot of them, all of them, wanted to be part of Tallahassee Soccer Club. So we really embraced that Saturday. It was great to be all together, to see the president, Chris, to be with the coaching staff on the field again, and just to meet some new people as well as see some familiar faces again. I think it kind of stokes the excitement and lays the foundation to allow us to get to work for the summer season.
Absolutely. I assume you had some semblance of a checklist going into the tryouts, Coach. What were those kind of items on your list, and what boxes were checked?
Well, the main goal for the tryout is to build a squad for our spring training program, which is a sort of gateway to our next tier of squad, which will be the summer team. So that was our main task. We were open to all positions, all levels of play. We're just trying to ascertain what players are going to be a good fit in terms of their technical ability, and then also in terms of their attitude and what they can bring to the team as a teammate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, great stuff, Coach. I know you kind of talked about the coaching staff. You kind of hinted at it. What can we expect from the coaching staff? Because that's one thing that you see within a lot of organizations. You can expect some consistency, but like we said, NPSL, super volatile, super transitionary. Will we have some of the same faces back? We obviously know you're back, which we're excited about. What's the rest of the staff going to look like?
So we do manage to keep the majority of that consistency that you talk about. So really happy to share that Mason will be back, Brian, and also Agustin, our goalkeeping coach, will all return. We've had meetings ever since the season finished and have just stayed in contact through dealings with the youth teams, and then also just socializing and just staying in contact and enjoying one another's company. So I'm really stoked to have those three back. We have a new fitness, strength and conditioning coach. His name is Anthony. He'll be joining us for the spring season. And then we've got a couple more coaches that we're looking at, and also just integrating into the squad and see how they will do and whether they'll be able to help us this summer. And I think hot off the press, I hope he's okay with me saying this. One of my focuses this year for this season is to give coaches even more responsibility for groups and lines of players so that they can feel the freedom to work with the defensive unit, the midfield unit, and obviously the attacking unit. And so I was thinking a lot about how I would build this coaching team and obviously utilize the coaches we've had, but then also add some new ones. So after some discussions, I felt that it was super important based on the history he has with this club, not to mention the attacking prowess that he has as a player, even still now. I thought it was important to invite Josh Bruno back into the fold as our assistant coach and attacking line coach, to which he has verbally accepted. We've still got some things to work through, but he was out there on Saturday, and I'm just so stoked to have him back involved because I don't need to tell you guys, you know already, he's part of the fabric of this club, and not having him around for me was not, just didn't feel right. So he's a friend of mine. He's a good coach. I think if we give him responsibility of that attacking line, he's going to have a job to do. He's going to thrive. And we should see some bicycle kicks either from him or one of those players because that's his speciality.
There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Great to see. Obviously, really enjoy Coach Bruno. Like you said, in as far as the first wave of the franchise, everything that TSC kind of builds off of is building off of it. And that foundation that him and the early stage people, we never want to forget where we came from, right? And so super cool to see him back in the fold. And I think I have to check the list, Coach. But last time I talked to Coach Bruno, I checked the TU website, and he was still tied for 6th all-time scoring up there at Thomas University. So I got to check it to fact check myself. But yeah, we know the prowess out there of Coach Bruno as a striker.
Yeah, I mean, and on top of that, as a coach, right? I mean, he just wants to win. He's got such passion for the game, and I can see him channeling that energy into our front line and just taking us to a new level, because goals were something that we struggled with at times last season. So I think having him back on board with that enthusiasm for scoring goals and winning is only going to help our team. So don't be surprised to see him on a team sheet.
There you go. Absolutely. He's over 16, right? So he can
I
maybe
think
make the roster.
just about.
Perfect. And he is eligible, because I know that's been an issue in the past for some players. You got to get above 16 to get him in the roster, but great to see, Coach. Great to see. Yeah, talk about a little, I know, of kind of that attacking front, especially it seems kind of late in games in a summer league. Obviously, a lot of factors in play, but late goals seem to be huge for the team, being in good positions late. And you go back to kind of a fitness routine. I know you said you had a new strength and conditioning coach, and a huge piece of that was this spring team that you really kind of lifted off last year, got going around this time of year in order to prep for when late April, early May hits, that the boys are ready to go. Do you have a kind of timeline or schedule and approach? And is that spring session / spring team coming back this season in 24?
Most definitely. We think it's an intricate part of, as you mentioned, laying the foundation for the summer and really giving some of these local players the opportunity to train consistently, so that when the college players do return, the transition between blending those teams together is much better. I felt like we were fitter. I'd like to make us even fitter for this season. So we're definitely looking at ways to make sure we're even more prepared this year. But to answer your question, the spring training program will kick off at the end of this month. Now that tryouts are complete, the coaching team is assembling that squad, as I mentioned earlier. We'll begin to communicate with the players and get them into training a couple of times a week at the end of the month. So we're excited to get going. Excited to get back out on the turf and begin to implement our ideas. And I think the other thing you mentioned was we were always in games. We scored goals late in games. Even when we were losing games, we still believed that we could come back. And again, that's testament to the culture that I think we're building at the club. And I just want to make abundantly clear that while we understand we won't always be winning and we'll be behind sometimes in games and we'll have to make these comebacks, we want to bring in players and we want to continue to develop players and teams that are going to keep getting better. So I was super clear with soccer players at the tryouts and any player that I've been talking to, that while we're sort of recruiting you or having you join the team as the player you are now, it's definitely our intention to make you a better player, and we expect you to commit to these programs and commit to our squad and be ready to work and improve.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I guess, Coach, going forward off of the tryouts and the team, what are some kind of realistic, let's throw out numbers. So as far as short term in the spring, how many players are you going to keep around? And then as we kind of transition into that territory where you get into the hardcore of the summer, or that final couple of weeks for the season, what kind of numbers around the program? Because I know in the past, sometimes it's gotten too big, sometimes it's gotten too small, and there's definitely some fluctuation. And like we said, a transitionary league that we're in. But what's your kind of goals or parameters that you're trying to set up?
That's a really tough one, Andrew, right? So again, I'm still learning. So after the first season, we definitely understood the requirement of the roster, that we could be short of players. But then on the flip side of that, if you keep a heavy roster, it's very difficult to keep everybody happy and engaged. Not that any of the players from the past season suffered from that, but we're also conscious as a coaching staff that no player is necessarily happy if they're not playing. But what we have tried to do is keep a competitive training environment so that the players can get the most out of each session and continue to improve. The spring training program, we will look to load up as many players as we feel that fit our club. So we're looking at any number between 22 and 26. We're also super interested in the high school level players and and having them come out and just get a feel for what it is, the adult game, just be around some more experienced players, so that, you know, one of the things that you and I have spoken about before, is extremely important to me that we continue to develop our local talent. And the catalyst for that has got to be this adult team and this spring training program, because I think it affords players the opportunity to get better and compete locally, rather than having to drive all these distances constantly to try and go and seek new levels. So I don't have a firm number. I'm open. How we'll approach the summer season will depend on, again, the quality that we have in depth. But the early signs are that we're going to have a roster that is going to have some depth to it. And I think that's exciting. So then it will just be down to trying to keep everybody happy, keep communicating with the team, and do the best we can to kick on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Coach, when you talk about pulling into the local talent and kind of the development, kind of the, I guess, elephant in the room, right? Tallahassee, when you think about it, you know, unfortunately in a weird spot geographically, but then also the soccer community, you know, when you look back the last 5+ years, is kind of been fractured. But I know that's one thing, is you're trying to build up the ranks and try to build some of these relationships here locally. And, you know, you can start to see a development of that and a streamlining of that, and, you know, just about building bridges, right? Tell us a little bit about kind of the development of not only the youth, but just kind of the soccer relationships here throughout the city that you've been trying to work to instill, you and your staff.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to be involved in youth soccer here in Tallahassee for, almost 8 years now. I've built many relationships, and I've got great memories of spending some time on all teams, right? I spent a lot of time with Tallahassee Tottenham, and then recently I've started to work with Warner ASG. I just think it's important that we continue to try and find ways to all work together to do the best for the development of our top tier players. And that's all clubs are doing a great job, but the relationship that Tallahassee Soccer Club and ASG have built has allowed us the opportunity to filter in some players from the Warner program to come and join this spring program with the adults. We're already beginning to see coaches that are former players from our program being integrated into Warner ASG, and also allowing them to begin their coaching education. We're seeing a lot of families from Warner that are doing such a nice thing and offering their house for the summer for our players. And we're seeing a benefit that the players are getting to spend time with our families here, which is inspiring the younger players. So this is definitely not something that is going to happen overnight. And there is a little bit of friction in the community based on the clubs that we've got. But my hope is that at some point we can find a way to really all work together, because ultimately our goal, whatever organization we're working for, should be to give the best possible experience we can to all of these kids in Tallahassee.
Absolutely. Very well put, Coach. Very well put. Keeping on my list of questions, want to talk about it for those who caught the last episode or previous episode, right? Big chunk of wild speculation on personnel. Coach, is it even, I know you've been tight-lipped about it, right? Is there even any potential, or is it even worth me asking the question about kind of going through some people coming back, or what we can expect, or, you know, kind of on that for the fans, you know, people that we can be looking for on the team?
Well, Andrew, I mean, I really enjoyed listening to the two of you give those percentages and some of the insight is stuff I didn't even know about. So you guys did a really good job. Listen, I can answer questions. I've had conversations with the majority of our players from last season. I've reached out to pretty much everybody. I respect that it won't be for everybody again this year, because they want to experience something new in their lives, whether it be soccer wise or whether it be professionally. So you can ask a few questions, and I'll probably won't answer them.
Okay. All right. Well, Coach, I'm big on checklists, and so in lieu of having a checklist, I think that I've got a little opportunity here so I don't miss anybody out. So if it's good with you, I got most of the 23 roster, and then you can just say yes, no explanation, or no comment. How do you feel about that?
You've got me in a corner here, Andrew.
You can say no comment if you want, Coach. But here we go. Let's get it going, Coach. So as we see here, let's get things started. I want to go full screen here, so apologize. Still trying to figure out this new platform, Coach. Here we go. Let's talk about Bennett Mitchell.
Love Bennett. Known him since he was a kid. Big fan of him and his family. He is always welcome as a battle line.
All right, Bilal.
Bilal and I haven't had a chance to connect yet, but nothing but love for Bilal. We will have a chance to talk, and we'll see where that goes.
Moving on. Cam Strill.
Cameron made a surprise appearance out at Tryouts on Saturday, and it was such a pleasant surprise. Love to have him join our coaching staff in some capacity. But at this moment in time, I believe that Cam is going to be taking at least a break. Whether that's a mini one or a full-time one, I don't know.
Okay, you gave a little more than I was expecting. I was going to say, with the social media, the era that we're in, Coach, I saw him at the tryout, but he was in street clothes. So I was wondering if there's anything to look into that. But I think that there is, based on your response. So good to know. Moving on, Diego.
Love everything about Diego, especially as a person. He always has shown commitment to the program, whether it be spring or summer. So can't wait to work with Diego again.
All right. That sounds good. Ethan Stewart, one of our youngsters, homegrown
talent. I think last year it was a little bit tough for him because of coming into a new squad and a little bit of a new atmosphere. But you cannot meet a more respectable young man. And he's gone off to college and he's worked exceptionally hard, which is exactly what we spoke about him doing. And he's been a top performer there. So I expect him to come back this summer and infiltrate the squad once again and try and get in that first team.
Very cool. Gaku
and I are always talking because I'm completely addicted to his smile and his energy. So me and him have a lot of conversations. I think Gaku's exploring his options and just looking at different places to potentially play this summer. The door remains open for him, and we'll just keep talking.
There you go. Absolutely. Samuel.
Sammy was at the tryouts on Saturday, so he will be considered for the spring training program selection.
Very cool. Very cool. Old Johnny.
Johnny and I are always talking.
Love that. Justin.
Another player that showed up at the tryouts. He'll be eligible for the spring training program. Again, I've got a massive soft spot for Justin. I've known him since he was a kid. He's hardworking. He's got to keep working hard, and I know he'll do that starting with the spring training program.
Absolutely. Kevin. Kalo.
Kalo and I are always talking.
Our one of two Canadians last year, Mark.
So Mark, same boat as Bilal. I haven't had the chance to connect with him recently. So we will have a chat soon enough. But again, giving these guys some space just to figure out what their plans are. But we'll certainly talk soon enough.
Very good. Matt.
Matt has been around on Saturday at the tryout. Him and I have continued to talk to one another. We have a good relationship. I have no news on whether Matt is interested in returning. My door is open for him to join the spring training program.
Nick,
I believe, has left town. So unfortunately, I won't get to see him much more. I think he'll be gone in the summer. But whenever I talk to Nick, I have seen him in the fall when we played FSU Club. And another guy that I just feel so easy around and I really like. So if he's staying in Tallahassee, it's open for him to join the spring training program. But I do believe he's getting ready to maybe go home to Jacksonville.
Alejandro,
him and I have been speaking a lot. He he was actually with Stafford over the Christmas break together, and they sent me a picture of an English breakfast. So they must really rate me highly. So I appreciate everything that Ali did for us last year. Right now, I think Ali's in a little bit of a transitional period in his college career. So I'm giving him the space to do that. But again, we're ready for a conversation whenever. All of these players remain, I'm going to say, friends of mine and friends of the program.
Very good. Rafa.
Rafa has been around. He pretty much blows up my phone 2-3 times a week asking when we're going to train. So Rafa is here, ready to join the spring training program, and I just can't wait to see him put his foot on top of the ball.
There you go. Trent
is an intricate part of the future of this program. So I'm lucky to have him. The club's lucky to have him. All eyes will point towards him returning in the summer, and I look forward to that. So can't wait to see Trent again. His spirit and love of the game is so infectious that I just can't wait to have him around us.
Nice. I know you talked about him,
Stafford and I, again, we're always talking. Another player that I just enjoy his company so much. He's looking at his options. We're talking. Again, nothing more than that at the moment.
Trice
is a player that started pretty much all the games for us. Main thing I loved about Trice is put his body on the line constantly for us. Nice left foot. He'll be in the spring training program.
Zuri.
Big fan of Zuri. We'll see him in the spring training program. Always love that kid.
And then we're back around.
Do you want me to double up on Bennett? I'm not giving that boy too much love. It'll go to his head.
There you go. But I know one of the ones that I know wasn't on the list off the top of my head. We talked about Diego, one of those TU guys, one of the younger guys at TU, Connor.
So Connor, giving him plenty of space because Connor's, I think, just trying to get back from injury. He's concentrating on being prepared for TU, who also, may I just add, their new coach, Billy, who's actually from a town right next to mine in England. So him and I have been talking a lot, and my main goal for Connor is to get healthy, get fit, get some minutes under his belt for TU, and we'll go from there.
Very cool. All right, Coach. Well, I was surprised. Got a little more than a bargain for us. So I'm glad we entertained that exercise, even just a little. But, Coach, I guess kind of more on a personal level. So never really talked about it, but you came back. And once again, we talked about the nature of this league, not a guaranteed. What was one of the main draws or a couple of the draws for you to be coming back this season?
I think, unfinished business from last season, just really gaining some experience within the league to understand how the schedule rolls and what sort of load that puts on the players and how we can react to that, both in training and with our tactics. The level of play, I think, is a good one, and it allows us to attract a certain level of player. So I just want to keep on pushing the game here in Tallahassee. I think there's so much outside influence that come in and try and affect what goes on here with Tallahassee soccer, that I think it's about time that we affected more things here in town. And coaching in this league and coaching with this caliber of player just allows me to keep on inspiring these families and kids in town here to pick up the game and roll with it. So it's a privilege to return. I'm super excited. The league is a bit confusing at the moment, but we're not paying any attention to that. We're just going to keep on preparing, and we'll be ready to roll whenever they decide to give us a schedule.
Schedule or teams or really anything, it seems like at this point, Coach.
Yes, well, again, I come from the realm of youth soccer, so we're a little bit used to this kind of let's put it to behaviour. It's not easy, so I won't complain. I won't make excuses for it or try to sort of attribute blame to anybody here. It's not easy to figure out. I get it. We've just got to sit patient, keep probing. I think the key is communication, and I think that's one thing that can always be looked at and maybe improved.
Yeah, no doubt, Coach. And we'll leave it at that. Anything else, coaches? I'm looking through my checklist. I feel like we talked about everything that I was hoping to talk to you about. Always, respect your time. So if you got to get out of here, I can hear in the background, the consummate family man. And so you have obligations outside of this, but also don't want to shade the opportunity to give you the open platform and anything maybe I missed, we didn't talk about, or that's going on that myself or the people should know about. So, Coach, the mic is yours.
Well, I think I've just got a minute or so because my dog is desperate to get out here. So I'm going to have to take him on a walk. No, all I want to do is say thank you to the club, Chris Petley in particular, and then also big thank you to the families around Tallahassee. And I just encourage you all to go out and buy season ticket, come out and experience a game day with us, whether you have been before or whether it would be your first time. We're going to get out there and try and entertain and inspire some people. I can't wait. Coaching staff can't wait. So we're ready to roll, Andrew.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for your time, Coach. Appreciate the insight, and always great to touch base with you. Talk a little soccer. So excited for the journey ahead, Coach.
Likewise, Andrew. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it, Coach.